Welcome back in the studio, Police Commissioner Vernon Francois, and we're now taking your calls. Remember, we are focusing on the future and not on issues that are still under investigations that are personal to you. So please don't use this platform for negativity and individualism. Use other talk shows to do that. However, we do welcome constructive criticism. I have to say, straight off the bat, we have received lots of comments, Commissioner, saying that you were doing a wonderful job. So please, please keep up the good work, and there's a lot of support for you out there. So they want you to know that. But saying that, here's another question. The question is, let's have a look because we're jammed on here. Let me ask you another question on here. What new tools do you believe will help improve police work in the near or distant future?
Well, I suppose in terms of a tool, we need to have the maybe may not be considered a tool really, but greater support from members of the Saint Lucian public. But in terms of tools, I think in recent times we have been doing well. We've just recently installed, I think, the government of Saint Lucia, together with support from the United States Embassy, we now have our automated fingerprint information system. So that will help us in a considerable way as it relates to burglaries and other property crime, in terms of being able to search a fingerprint bank, in a more efficiently. I think that will help us a lot, really, because we have a number of crimes related to properties, and that we've had a degree of difficulty in terms of solving these crimes. But I think the use of the AFI system will help us in a considerable way. I think we are also, another tool that will be good for us is we are working in a direction of having a more efficient border control management system. Obviously, controlling our border is very significant to us, because a lot of the things like, that are coming in to Saint Lucia that we do not necessarily have, we don't manufacture firearms on Saint Lucia, for example, and we have the firearms that are coming in. We don't produce cocaine on Saint Lucia. The cocaine is coming in. So it's really a matter of being able to, if we can control our borders, I think we'll be able to deal a lot with the crime problem that we face. So I think people may not know it, but there are a lot of technological tools that we are using as we speak. A lot of it I'm not free to speak about publicly, really, but I think it has helped us a lot in terms of being able to deal with the problems that we face.
Okay, well, let's go straight to the phone lines. Thank you very much for holding for such a long time. Welcome to Law Factor Live.
Hi, good night. How are you all doing?
We're fine, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Francois. You are a gentleman that I admire a lot. You're doing a fantastic work, and I pray to God that He's going to give you the strength, He's going to give you the wisdom, and He's going to give you the love so that you could manage our country. However, I have two questions I would like to ask you. One, with the telephone system in the police force, one, I find when I call it that they take a very long time before they answer the phone. Secondly, if I am in Summersdale, for example, and I call Castries, they will tell you, well, probably Grosley is in charge of Summersdale, or Castries responsible for Summersdale. But the problem I have with that, I believe that all the police telephone should link up to one another, so that if I call Castries and it is Grosley that's supposed to represent me, Castries should be able to dispatch me or put me through to Grosley, so that I don't have to put down my phone and then call Grosley, because it could be in a situation where that I am in a dying position. I could be in a position where I need the assistance of the police, and by the time I put down the phone and I try to call Grosley, I may never get Grosley. However, when I look at places like Home Depot, other business in Castries, and I realized that the phone are link up. If I call M&C in busy, and I need, sorry, not busy, Vilbouteille, and I need, for example, Bois d'Orange, they could dispatch me to Bois d'Orange. So I'm trying to figure out why is it that the police, that is the head of our society, cannot have a network like that. I listen to you on the radio. Thank you very much.
Well, if I'm to take your last point, that can what you are suggesting can be done and is in fact being done in terms of being able to connect calls from one police station to another. I imagine it may very well be that in order for you to maybe have a detailed conversation with the police officer at Grosley, the suggestion is for you to call Grosley instead of tying down the lines to transfer you to Grosley. But I think I understand their concern as it relates to people who, and when they call one police station, they expect service completely from the police station that they are calling. But the country is actually divided in jurisdictions, and it may, in terms of doing the investigation and prosecution of your case, it has to happen in a particular jurisdiction that you are living or the crime has taken place. So that is why we refer people to police stations. But in terms of being able to connect your call from one police station or from our control room to another of the police station, that can easily happen.
Okay, here's a question here. Viewers, I'm actually not responding to some of the things that the Commissioner is saying, just so that I can get your questions in. Okay, would the introduction of the death penalty deter the level of murders in Saint Lucia? If not, what would be the best solution to that problem?
Well, the death penalty by itself will not deter the murders on Saint Lucia, but I think it can, my personal view is that it can make a contribution to a reduction. It can play a part, but death penalty by itself will not reduce murders on Saint Lucia.
Okay. All right. Another question here. Let's go to the phone. Hello, welcome to the Law Factor Live.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Commissioner, nice to see you.
Yes, thanks.
I just want to talk about the telephone call thing. Apparently, our people do not realize that we have a directory. Most people pick up the phone, they don't take the time, look through the directory to know exactly what department they want. They just pick up and call any number. And then most of the time people have to, the force is a large entity with so many numbers, and sometimes you get caught up by, trying to transfer the calls on here and there. I think it's time our people start reading a bit more, open up the directories, take their time, or call Cable and Wireless if they are not sure of the number, and everything will go smoothly. Okay?
Yeah, that is so, particularly as it relates to 999, that it is an emergency line, and we try our best for it not to be tied down. Maybe what is an emergency for one person may not necessarily be an emergency, so we try to reserve the 999 line for emergency calls.
That is true, eh? That is true.
All right. Thank you very much for your call, caller. Okay, Commissioner, here's another question. Can you explain why the United Against Crime campaign hotline number is managed very well and they seem to answer every time? But why is it that so much money is spent on 911 when sometimes they don't answer at all? Same theme, but comparing it to something else.
The line to the police department is actually 999.
Yeah. And
the fire service is 911. So I imagine if the person is referring to.
Well, I may stand corrected here. I may stand corrected.
Yeah,
so
I
let's
suppose I can talk about 999. I mean, like I said, it is an emergency line, and there's sometimes when somebody is trying to get through it, it may be that the police officer or police officers on duty may be using it for some other emergency, and but there's a lot of demands on it, and that is why we try to encourage people, unless it's an absolute emergency, for them to use a normal line. There are a lot of normal lines that they can use instead of tying down the 999 call. So if somebody is trying to get through that line, it may be a bit difficult, really, as to comparing it to the what do you call it, United Against Crime. United Against Crime, I don't really know.
All right, let's go back to the call before we get to the break. Thank you, caller. Can we have your question, please?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening both to Commissioner and to Delia yourself.
Good evening.
Commissioner, let me just commend you on your job. Let me also tell you that in my lifetime, I've seen lots of commissioners, but I do believe that you're the best that I've seen so far. I have judged that on the basis that you have common sense. You are what I consider street smart, and being street smart is a lot better than being book smart. You may not have a degree or a PhD or you are another professor, but you are street smart, and I think in our society that counts for a lot. You seem to know what you're about. Your answers are right on the ball. You may not be the best in terms of your pronunciation and your diction, etc., but you know what you're about, and that is important. Saying so, I wanted to give you a bit of advice that I believe that your department needs a proper PR relations branch, and probably you need to institute what we call a spokesman for the police force. If there is, I don't think that person is visible enough, and I think that needs to be worked on. Addition to that, I think that I would very like much if you would comment on the recent case where we found this great amount of drugs valued at 2 million plus in our waters at Rodney Bay. I would hope, and I was a bit disappointed that a local person was not arrested alongside with the foreign national, in that I do believe that there is a local connection with that drug bust. And so it would have been nice for us to get the local persons who are connected with what I believe a very well organized drug. You may want to comment on it, you may not want to, but I do believe that the fact that, I mean, we keep saying that, hey, look, yes, it was a foreign national involved, and we want to say that persons are using our waters to do, but there must be a local link. And I believe that local link, we need to work on getting that local link, arrest and prosecute as well that local link. In addition to that, I want to say to you that when you do make comments and you say that you do believe that, yeah, we have corrupt officers, we do believe that we have persons who are abusing the government vehicles, we do believe you are right on the money, because you're saying that we don't have a perfect system. We don't expect there to be a perfect system everywhere and in everything. We don't expect as well that there to be a perfect police force, but we do expect that there to be more the right than the wrong. And I also would like to commend you for identifying that, yes, there are faults, but we are trying to work on those faults and improving the police force, and that you do recognize that there are also persons who are doing the right thing to make the police force and give the police force the image that it really needs. I want to say also to your officers to continue to do the good work, proceed in the manner in which the oath that they took in serving and protecting the rights of our Saint Lucians, and wish you and your ranking officers as well as the rest of the police force very well job done, and continue the good work. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you quickly for your kind comments. Two things you raised, the issue of the spokesman for the police department. I think that is something that we have been grappling with. We obviously need to do better, but you'll understand that the police officers are actually police officers. They are not PR experts. So basically we have to look in the direction of training them, to do the type of jobs that we want them to do. We have also worked with the government of Saint Lucia in the direction of getting an independent agency to work with the police department in the area of PR, because obviously these people are normally better suited for this kind of functions than police officers who are just that, police officers. But I think they try their best in terms of being able to put out the information relating to the police department. In the other area that you raised, what is it again?
You raised quite a few areas.
I think that's the area that I wanted to comment on, but Yeah. Yes, they mentioned the drugs about a local person should have been arrested. I think we are still pursuing the investigation as it relates to this matter, and it's very possible that a local person may be arrested, but as police officers, as investigators, we can only deal with the evidence that we have before us, and at the moment the evidence we have seems to be pointing to the person who's arrested. That's why we have arrested that individual. But as we pursue the case, if we have evidence that anybody else is involved, whether it's local or foreign, we'll be more than happy to pursue that person.
Thank you, Commissioner. Now, we've closed the entries for tonight's giveaways, but when we come back, maybe we might just take one or two calls. So this is the time, if you have something burning, as soon as we get back, make that call. This is The Law Factor Live on DBS. We'll be right back.